Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports truly meets that thing called life. We are inside of the Heritage Hill studios. You know that Heritage Hill is out for you in the country on 3149 Sweet Road in Pompey, New York, in the rolling hills of central and upstate New York. And in the hustle and bustle of city life, you'll find them on 628 South Main Street in North Syracuse, New York at Heritage Hill North. I am picture in picture for this Dolphin Dive in our exclusive multimedia marketing partnership with LeMoyne College with Nick DiPillo once again. Nick DiPillo joined me for the exclusive first interview upon the news that he got the job at LeMoyne. So we had the exclusive article out for you and that exclusive first audio and video. And now Nick is back with me to speak on LeMoyne women's basketball moving forward and the tasks at hand here for the women's basketball head coach. Nick, how are you?
I'm doing well. Good morning. Thank you for having me. Always nice to kind of take a little time out of my day to chat with you and catch up about all things Dolphin hoops.
Yeah, and I know that's something that you and I were talking about off the air, which I really wanted to get into here, is Katie Kalinske. She spent 7 seasons under Jim Boeheim on the coaching staff, which is unheard of. And to have the opportunity to do that, and then went on to the university at Buffalo and worked with Felicia Leggett-Jack, then went over to Lafayette and came home to her home of Syracuse, New York. She went to West Genesee High School, which is not too far away from the city of Syracuse, and coming home last season under Mary Grimes. I know that being back in Syracuse is important to her. It's important to her daughter. It's important to, her future and her trajectory as a coach. And we have some news here that Katie Kalinske is going to be staying on staff, and I would love to speak with you about that.
Yeah, I knew of Katie before I even took this job. So I knew a little bit about the type of basketball mind and philosophically what I was getting. But once it kind of became official and we started to have some conversations, philosophically we aligned in a big way. She's a worker. She's invested into the kids, the student athlete experience. She's as connected as anybody I've been around, and honestly, almost any level. And a lot of people who I'm close with um, spoke very, very highly of her, and people who I really trust and whose opinions that matter to me spoke really, really highly of her. And it didn't take long through our conversations. Some of the things she presented me, honestly, my first couple hours officially taking the job, that I knew, she'd be a great fit. Um, I'm fortunate to have her. I'm fortunate to keep her as part of this program. Our student athletes are very fortunate to have her still be with us. And I think she'll be an unbelievable bridge to the next, however many, uh, you know, recruits that we continue to bring into this program. She's going to play a huge part of it. So again, I'm so fortunate, to be able to work with her every day. Um, I'm definitely lucky.
And, when we go from one staff to another, it's not always typical that we see somebody stay on and bridge that gap. You said philosophically you line up. What are some of those pillars that you and Katie Kalinske line up on? When you talk about philosophically being on the same page, what are some of those things that you needed to have that she provided?
Yeah, and you know what? Going back to your first point, you're right. It's not normal that it happens. I think that kind of speaks to who she is and the type of person she is. Honestly, the number one thing that was important that jumped out to her was her investment uh, in the program and into our student athletes. I think she knows what the student athlete experience uh, needs to look like through my eyes, and that was really evident in our first conversations. She brings an unbelievable work ethic to it. She's prepared. She's detail oriented. She's definitely not going to be outworked. And I know what I know of her, what I've gotten to know of her. Um, Her loyalty to the best interest of LeMoyne is always going to come first. Uh, she's not afraid to voice her opinion and share it. She has a lot of great ideas, which we've talked about, and I'm looking forward to hearing a lot more of those as we go. I think it's important as you put a staff together, you want to hire people who complement you, but also push you outside of your comfort zone. And she's definitely gonna be able to do that for me.
And And like you said, I mean that connection and that work ethic you had known of her, like you said, before you took this job.
Mhm.
What did you know about Katie, and what have been some of those positive things that have been said to you along the trail that you weren't going in having no knowledge of her? So what did you know?
Yeah, so number one was the pedigree. I think just you had mentioned it. The time you spent at Syracuse, by osmosis alone, you're going to learn an unbelievable amount. Working with and around that program that she was a part of, her ability to get players better in the gym, which is something that I want to be a foundational cornerstone piece of what we do, is just a player development piece. Um, Her eye for talent and the ability to see not only who they are today, but who they can become throughout their 4 years, in a particular system. And then through all those initial conversations, just her ability to hear my vision of how I want to play and how I want to recruit, and then her bringing players to the table. We were out this weekend during an academic live period, and her ability to bring players to my attention that fit that, and force me and give me opportunities to think in different ways about certain players. Um, the conversations have been, very stimulating to say the least, and it's really pushed me to, kind of think and see things in a different way. And she does it in a way where she always has the best of the program, and what I'm looking for at the forefront of her mind.
And you talk about recruiting and being on that wavelength and having that connectivity between the two of you. This is technically the first move that you've made, is keeping
Mhm.
Katie Kalinsky as an assistant coach. So is she right there? As we look at the sideline, is she that first seat there as we look for the rest of the seats? How do we kind of put all this together? Because you come in at a time where LeMoyne is in Division One. You come in at a time where there was the expansion of the staff and the opportunity. So there's a bunch of seats you can fill. So
Mhm.
where do you kind of see her in this? And I mean, is there any special name to it? Is it assistant coach focusing on the this certain area, the front court, the back court? How do you kind of look at her role on your staff? And then moving forward, just what you could say about what you're looking for the rest of the staff.
Yeah, I think what I can say is it's gonna be hard for me to find someone else to bring into this program with the level of experience and pedigree that she has. Um, what that looks like, and I'm narrowing it down a little bit to the final couple positions that I need to bring in and fill. Uh, but one of the things that her and I talked about, when I told her, when I invited her to stay on, was I want her to serve as a mentor for the people who do come in as well. I mean, she has a lot of unique experience, that I'm going to benefit from, but I know the other assistant coaches that I bring in will as well. So she's going to be a trusted ear for me. She's going to serve as a mentor for them, and I'm going to lean on her a lot. From a day-to-day standpoint, from a big picture standpoint, as to what roster building looks like in the short term and in the long term. And I think, I talked about our student athletes who will benefit from her presence every day. I think the assistants that we bring in, in the next few weeks, they'll equally benefit from her as well. And by the time they get here, we'll put in a good strong month together of really, hitting the ground running with some of the things that we're trying to do. Hopefully, filling out our roster in the next couple of weeks, and making some announcements with that, and then kind of focusing on that 25 class and what comes after. So, whether it looks like whatever it is, number one, number two, I don't know what that necessarily is per se, but she's going to be uh, relied upon to impact the program, not only with our student athletes, but with the rest of the people who share this office space with us.
Nick DiPillo here with me in this Dolphin Dive exclusive in our multimedia marketing partnership with LeMoyne College from inside the Heritage Hill Studios here on Wake Up Call, speaking with the Lemoyne Dolphins women's basketball head coach about Katie Kalinsky. To the rest of this staff, how many more seats are we looking to fill? And I know you said in the coming weeks. How close are we to seeing some of these new faces on campus?
Yeah, I think we're getting pretty close. I'd like to hope for early July,
Okay.
prior to the craziness of AAU kicking off, to kind of have my staff set. The I have an urgency to do it, but I have more of an urgency to make sure they're the right fit. They check the boxes that not only that I need for myself, but who will be uh, present for our student athletes, and not necessarily present in the physical sense, but present in all aspects of their student athlete experience. I definitely want to make sure I'm hiring a staff that uh, can really impact their lives in a lot of different ways and give our student athletes uh, people of different backgrounds and experience levels to kind of talk to and relate to kind of go from there. So definitely looking forward to having that those last two spots filled. Like I said, probably in the next few weeks, early July is my target date right now. Think we're getting there, but just want to make sure we're doing the right thing for this program.
And recruiting wise, of who you had on the team when you came in, because obviously there's a transfer portal. There was weeks in between of people wondering where they're going to go and what they're going to do. Has anyone kind of gone in the portal, come out of the portal, met with you, and said, "Hey, I'm going to stay"? What can you tell us about the returning roster for this team?
Yeah, so from the time I got here, nobody knew went into the portal, which I was really thankful for and excited about. The two incoming freshmen reaffirmed their commitment, and really excited about what they can bring, to the team. We're really close, with the rules about when you can talk about things and announce things
Yeah.
are a little funky sometimes. So when you're dealing with players who are in the portal and will commit to LeMoyne, we have to wait for some checks and balances to go through before we can talk about them. But we're really excited about some additions that we'll be making to our program, who will not only be talented people, talented basketball players, but they're going to be dynamic people to help lift us and contribute to what is already an established culture and a strong locker room. I was able to talk to all of our returners, uh, within a day or two of me getting the job, and a few of them were gracious enough to come to the press conference, and you know, all of them to a person without saying it, you can tell how much they appreciate the culture that was established prior to me getting here. And I feel beyond duty bound to make sure that of all the things that I do, of course, I'm going to bring in the most talented people, basketball players that I can find, but make sure I'm bringing in student athletes who contribute to that and uphold that culture as well. Um, because I understand how important that is to them. Um, it's important to me for a lot of reasons, but because it's important to them that it adds even greater weight to make sure I evaluate people the correct way.
And how do you do the dance of taking these last few years and this consistent success that we've seen with this program and going to the NCAA tournament, going to the women's NIT first year in Division One? How do you take all of those positive pieces and those moments? Because I know you and I talked about this in our exclusive a few weeks back. But now that you've met the student athletes, to do the dance of let's take what's working, let's take what's good, let's take this culture that's been built, but I am the leader of this program now, and I have to put my Nick DiPillo stamp on it. How do you do what you need to do to lead the way you want to lead, while also making sure that there's no disruption of the culture that is good, that you like, that you've seen?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. And to be honest, everything is always going to start in the locker room. It's to start with our culture, it's to start with how we do things. And I think culture is that buzzword that people, throw around and use a lot. And it's really just it's an accumulation of how you do things on a day-to-day basis. It's a relationship building. It's the conversations you have with your student athletes, which have started already. From the time I officially got here, the basketball pieces, that might look a little bit differently. But it's clear that the staff and the players who are part of this program the previous few years did an unbelievable job talking about and preaching the right things and talking about how you want to do things the right way every single day. Um, that's an easy transition for me because it aligns with who I am, and what I think leads to success. The basketball piece, like I said, will probably look a little bit differently, especially as we start to bring, uh, you know, new players into the fold. I think different ways that we can use our existing players to highlight and accentuate what they do well, and also make sure it's a mirror image of myself in a way that uh, myself and this staff envisions us playing. So I think the parallels you'll see from a culture standpoint and the sheer joy that we play with and the way we want to do things, the product might, like I said, might look a little bit differently, but it's going to be based in you know, us doing uh, playing for each other and playing hard and playing the right way.
Yeah, and looking at the roster and what you have here right now, as far as floor minutes, there's there's a few that put in some good minutes. There's obviously a sharpshooter that I'm looking at here right now. I'm treading lightly because I think obviously you can talk about who's on your roster, right? You could talk about who's returning, but recruiting wise, a little bit different. But for the Emily Florvilles, and I know Sydney Postel got out there a little bit, and Sierra Lennon obviously was a huge sharpshooter for the team. There's not a ton of numbers as far as what's there. I know you said you got a couple coming in freshman wise, you're going to the portal. What are your thoughts on some of those names that I did put out there, especially Sierra, knowing how good of a shooter she was last season?
She was, and it's interesting because I joked with everyone who I spoke to, and I said it kind of tongue in cheek, but it's the truth. Everyone who's going to be in our locker room that very first team meeting when we all get back together, they've all played the same amount of minutes for me anyway. So, regardless of what they've done prior, there's something to it, and there's an experience factor that comes with it that is definitely beneficial. But none of them have experience with me, and I have no experience with them. So, for some who were looking to have an expanded role, they're going to have every opportunity to do so. And from talking to a lot of the returners, I think that's really exciting for them. So definitely looking forward to getting into gym. I wish I could fast forward a couple months. One to kind of get everything out, to get life in order and get all that stuff done, but to really just for us to get in the gym together and see what pieces fit best with who. Um, I am very excited about a lot of the returners who are coming back. I think they're all going to add their unique skill set to the way we want to play and the way we want to do things. Um, I'm cautiously optimistic. The additions that we'll be making will complement that and hopefully add to that. Um, I do think we are set up to have a really deep roster and some really, really competitive practices, which will allow us to, um, be competitive when we get out there and start playing.
I know you can't tell me names due to recruiting things like we had spoken about, but how advantageous have you been in the portal? And because of the time that you came on as the coach for LeMoyne, is this going to be a heavy portal cycle for you to bring in those pieces of what you're seeing? Are we going to see an influx of that, so to speak? And will a lot of this new look LeMoyne team come from other places in Division One or Division Two, or just kind of what you're anticipating?
Yes, I think this year has to be a little bit more portal heavy than I would like to, as a general whole, just because technically it was June 1st ish that I got the job, so it was really hard. A lot of the high school players who you'd like to target, they're committed already, right?
Yeah.
Um, so we are going to bring in a few from the portal. We'll bring in a mixture. They'll all be players from Division I programs. As I said, I think we're narrowing it down where we're at pretty soon. We'll bring a couple fifth-year transfers in. We'll bring a couple who have multiple years of eligibility left. Uh, and it'll really allow us to focus on that from a roster standpoint, focus on that 2025 recruiting class, uh, because I really do want the foundation of our program to be bringing in players and developing them throughout their time here at LeMoyne. I think the portal can be used to serve to plug the occasional hole here and there. I understand it's part of college athletics, and we're going to use it to our advantage when it makes sense for us. I definitely don't anticipate it after this year being a main resource for how we recruit our talent. I do think there's something to be said for identifying the right players early in high school, getting them to campus, developing them on and off the floor, and building up the foundation of our program that way. But I understand that student athletes, rightfully so, have options at the end of every year. So what that looks like, we'll see from year to year. But if we're doing things the right way, and if we're executing our plan the way I think we can, we'll be able to build our foundation through the conventional high school grassroots route.
That coming here from Nick DiPillo in this edition of the Dolphin Dive, Lemoyne Dolphins women's basketball head coach here on Wake Up Call inside the Heritage Hill Studios. Nick, before I let you go, you, like you said, June 1st, technically, you're brought on. Amidst all of this, the athletics director who's part of the process of interviewing you, Bob Beretta, he ends up deciding to go to St. Bonaventure, his alma mater. I could speak for him, I would think, in the sense of saying, I mean, and not even speaking for him, but speak on his behalf. Tremendous leader and has done so much. And I'm sure your interaction with him was all great. Now there's an interim in Mike Lindberg, and there's a committee being put together this week to go and find the next athletics director and leader of the department. How have you kind of navigated through all of this? Because Bob was there. This was his last big move, that you were that hire. So to know that he was a part of that and a part of this mission and this vision to make sure the right person came in for women's basketball at LeMoyne, and at the same time, all of this change that you're experiencing immediately, how have you kind of navigated the waters of Bob to now an interim to knowing that down the road there will be another leader for athletics at LeMoyne?
Yeah, it's a great question, and it's taken a situation that was a whirlwind coming into it in normal circumstances, and throwing like another twist into it. First of all, I'm eternally grateful to Bob because I know, regardless of the decision he made with his career, that this was a huge hire for him. So for him to put his trust and faith in me that I was the right person at this time to lead our program, uh, and believe in my vision, I'll always be eternally grateful to him for that. Unfortunately, the rest of the stuff is stuff I can't control. I haven't had an opportunity to meet Mike yet. I think I'll have an opportunity to meet him this week. I did let President Lemira know that I am here at her disposal for anything she needs through the process. If there's anything in my experience at this level to help assist Lemoyne in the process, that I'm here for her. I think the best thing I could do will always be to pour into our program with all the energy that I have, and pour into our student athletes the best that I can, to make sure that whoever does come in this fall, whenever Lemoyne decides to make that next decision for who will lead the program moving forward, that they're finding the women's basketball program in a stable and in a good place. I've worked with a lot of administrators over the years, and I'm excited to work with whoever does come in, and help aid his or her transition, into their role, and be a great working partner with them as they kind of go through it. But to say that you're right, it definitely adds a little twist and another dimension to what's already a crazy situation. So
Yeah, I mean, you spent a few days as the women's basketball head coach here. It's only been a little bit, but you've already been recruiting, like you said, looking for your staff, looking in the portal, what you're going to do, making sure that you firm up those commitments of the freshmen that were committed, which you have. Katie Kalinsky staying on staff, seeing Bob in this transitionary period to Mike Lindberg, and then from there. So amidst all of this, to be on the Heights, to be at LeMoyne, to physically be in Syracuse, New York, what have you taken away so far, and what has the experience been like for you just as a human being in the community?
the people around here are amazing. Um, I've been random places, just go get something to eat. You're at the food store. Still living out of a hotel right now until we get our house next month. Uh, the amount of people who've just randomly stopped me to say hello and welcome me to the area has been insane. It's been heartfelt and genuine. And it's helped me when I'm getting on the phone with recruits, especially after this last weekend. And while there's not a ton that I can tell them about Lemoyne yet, I can speak to them about the people and the community and the environment that I'm recruiting them to. And so for me, it's been awesome. Like I said, the people are genuine, they're gracious. Uh, on campus and in the community, everyone around here has been so helpful, still trying to figure out, how to get certain things done, and people will drop. Our athletic department is amazing, and I've probably hounded our administrators way too much with a lot of small, mundane questions and details, and they'll drop whatever they're doing at a moment's notice to answer my question and make sure I have what I need to in order to be successful. Um, none of them want to say no. They want to find the best way to get to yes. And I think that's a testament to the people here and the commitment from the university, from President Lemire all the way down, to make sure that we have what we need to best serve our student athletes and create the best student athlete experience that we can. So every day that goes by and every day I come into the office and every day I go home, I'm more and more thankful that I have this opportunity, to represent this program and lead it in the best way that I know how.
That coming here from Nick DiPillo, a lot of information, and very much appreciate all of that to give the inside look at LeMoyne Dolphins women's basketball moving forward. Nick, I can say that I'm very happy to have you here. I'm happy that you and I got to speak before everything. And I was sad because this was a process that went on for weeks. And when they said, hey, this is when we're going to bring them on campus, I had talked to you before that. And I was like, I'm actually with family down in Florida. I went away with my mom for a few days. So it was, I was thinking about it while I was down there. I'm like, this is the time that he's going to be speaking. I wonder what he's talking about. I wonder what's going on. So, I hope I was there in spirit, and obviously appreciated the time that we had beforehand, the time that we have now, and the time that we'll continue to have to build this. And that's all leading up to the fact of now that you're in town, you're in my city. So I'm going to have to make sure we get together and get some good food, and I show you around Syracuse the right way.
I'd appreciate that, and I appreciate the attention that you bring to our program. The time that you've shown. I think our student athletes, our athletic department, in Lemoyne is uh, appreciative. They're grateful, and they're deserving, because I think this is a great place with great people. I'm not telling you anything that you don't know, but I think the more people who can hear that message, the better.
Yeah. Well, thank you for appreciating that, and thanks for coming here, because I'm very happy that you're going to be here leading this program that's meant the world to me for over a decade, and it's an honor to know that you and I have already gotten to get simpatico on a lot of things too, and I like the fact that we got a good leader here. So I'm definitely, it's an understatement, but I'm looking forward to it, and definitely looking forward to some X and O's talk, and me coming out to a practice or just sitting with you looking at different things, because I love this game more than I can say, and I'm happy that I get the opportunity to speak with someone who's genuine and passionate, and I really think that LeMoyne got a good one. So I'm happy that you're here.
Appreciate it. Appreciate you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.